I found this metal tag in a random box after my grandfather passed away and have always been curious about it. The front shows a lion, a crest, and the number 55794, but the back is completely blank. Any idea what this is? What you found is a vintage department store charge token, an early form of a credit card used in the United States during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Stores like Gimbel's, Macy's, and others issued these small metal tokens to trusted customers, linking them to in-store credit accounts. The token would typically display the store's logo or monogram, like the GB for Gimbel Brothers, along with the customer's account number. At checkout, customers would present their token, and clerks would manually record the purchase under the associated account. Some stores even used mechanical imprinting devices to speed up the process. Charge tokens came in various shapes, including round coins and rectangular plates, like the one you found. Many had a small hole, so they could be attached to a keychain. Materials such as brass, nickel, and aluminum were commonly used, and decorative designs like lions, stars, or floral elements often reflected the store's branding. By the 1950s, plastic credit cards began replacing charge tokens, but for a time, having a token like this was a symbol of status and trust between customer and store. There's this strange device in my classroom. It's not very big, plugged into the wall, and it mostly just sits there making a soft fan-like sound. The top part changes color randomly, and I haven't seen it do anything else. Any idea what it is? This device is called AV1, a personal avatar robot developed by the Norwegian company No Isolation. It is designed to help children with long-term illnesses stay involved in their education and maintain connections with their classmates when they are unable to physically attend school. Through a secure app, the child can log into the AV1 from home or the hospital, seeing the classroom through the robot's camera, hearing conversations through its microphone, and speaking to classmates and teachers through its built-in speaker. The AV1 has a simple, human-like shape with a head that can rotate 360 degrees, allowing the child to look around the room remotely by swiping on their device. It also features expressive eyes that can display emojis and a light on top that flashes when the child wants to raise their hand. Unlike avatar robots that move on wheels, the AV1 is designed to stay in place while in use, but it is lightweight enough to be easily carried between classrooms when needed. It is also built with strong privacy protections, including encrypted live streams and no storage of personal data. I came across this massive structure on the shore of Lake Superior in Marquette, Michigan. It looks abandoned. Does anyone know what it was used for? What you found is an abandoned ore dock, a massive structure once used to load iron ore onto Great Lakes freighters. Ore docks like this one played a vital role in American industry from the mid-19th century through much of the 20th. They were built along waterfronts in mining towns such as Marquette, Michigan, to quickly move vast quantities of iron ore from trains into ships. Trains carried ore to the top of the dock, where they dumped it into tall storage pockets. When a freighter pulled alongside, workers opened gates at the bottom of the pockets, and gravity sent the ore tumbling down through chutes directly into the ship's cargo holds. Originally, these docks were constructed from wood, but by the early 1900s, reinforced concrete and steel became standard to handle the heavy loads. The ore docks helped fuel the growth of America's steel mills and heavy industry, tying remote mining communities into the national economy. Although many docks closed after the mid-20th century as industries shifted, a few, like Marquette's Upper Harbor Dock, are still active today. Others, like this one, now stand as monuments to the region's industrial past. I found this lever in the stairwell of an old tenement building in Edinburgh, Scotland. The building was probably built around 1905. There is one of these levers on every floor. On the first floor, there's also a small wooden box underneath it. The lever moves up and down with a bit of resistance, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Any idea what it is? What you found is a lifting handle from an old mechanical door release system, once common in Victorian and Edwardian tenement buildings in Edinburgh. These handles allowed residents to remotely unlock the main entrance door downstairs without having to leave their floor. When the handle was pulled, it activated a hidden system of cables, pulleys, and bell cranks built inside the walls. This mechanism lifted the latch on the main entrance door, allowing someone to enter from the street. Visitors would first pull a bell pull outside the building entrance, which would ring a bell inside the resident's flat. After hearing the bell, the resident could walk to the stairwell, pull the handle, and unlock the front door for their guest. From the outside, visitors operated the mechanism using an Odell key or French latch lifter. You would insert the key into the lock, and instead of turning it, lift it upward to raise the latch, provided the key had the correct shape. These mechanical systems started appearing in Scottish tenements from the late 18th century and remained common through the early 20th century. We spotted this 40-foot-tall vehicle on the beach. My dad said it would drive into the ocean at low tide until the wheels were covered, then back out and move down the beach by one vehicle's length before entering the water again. We're completely stumped. Any idea what this thing is? What you saw is called a crab, short for Coastal Research Amphibious Buggy. This unique three-wheeled vehicle was designed by the Wilmington District of the United States Army Corps of Engineers to assist with beach nourishment projects. The crab stands about 40 feet tall and is built from heavy-duty aluminum tubing. Despite its towering appearance, it is extremely stable thanks to its wide wheelbase and liquid-filled tires. It moves slowly, around 2 miles per hour, and can operate in water depths of more than 20 feet, even in rough conditions with waves up to 6 feet high. Surveyors use the crab to measure the elevation, slope, and width of the shoreline without having to wade into the ocean. Equipped with advanced surveying equipment, the crab allows for precise mapping of the beach, ensuring that new sand is placed exactly where it is needed. I found this Russian device in a trash can. It's about 7 inches long and 6 inches wide, and some parts glow in the dark. The main wheel can rotate and slide up and down, and the swing arm can be turned to align with the marks on the arc at the top. The Russian text roughly translates to drift left and drift right. I have no idea what it is or what it was used for. What you've discovered is a Soviet-era flight navigation tool known as a vetrochet. This mechanical device was used by military pilots and navigators to calculate wind drift, ground speed, and course corrections during flight. It served as the Soviet counterpart to the American E-6B flight computer, which was developed in the late 1930s and became widely used during World War II. I talked about the E-6B flight computer in one of my earlier videos. You can find the link to it in the description. Calculations on this tool are performed manually by using a rotating wheel and a sliding arm. The glowing green parts were designed to remain visible during night flights, helping pilots make adjustments even in low light conditions. These devices were standard equipment in Soviet military aviation and saw extensive use throughout the Cold War era. I found this while renovating a pub. It's about 4 inches long, looks like it's made of plastic, has a plunger on top and a small hole at the bottom. There are no markings or labels on it. Does anyone know what this is? What you found is an early 20th century ear syringe, a medical device that was commonly used to irrigate the ear canal and remove wax buildup or infection. These syringes helped relieve earaches and restore hearing. The device uses a plunger mechanism and a narrow, curved tip to control the flow of warm water or medicinal solution into the ear canal. It may indeed be made of plastic, since early forms of plastic, like Bakelite, were already being used for the production of medical instruments in the early 1900s due to their durability and ease of molding. However, mass production of plastic medical devices really took off only by the middle of the 20th century. I saw this pink-orange glowing tube on top of a light post in Brooklyn, New York. It was glowing, even during the daytime. Any idea what it is? What you saw is an emergency call box indicator, part of New York City's long-standing public safety system. These pink-orange glowing tubes are mounted on top of streetlights to help people quickly locate emergency call boxes, especially at night or in poor visibility. New York City's emergency call box system dates back to the 19th century, when the city first installed mechanical boxes for citizens to report fires. Over time, the system evolved, and today's voice alarm boxes feature 2 flaps, one for contacting the fire department and one for contacting the police. When activated, these boxes establish direct two-way communication with emergency dispatchers. Despite the widespread use of cell phones, New York City still maintains around 15,000 call boxes as a backup system, particularly valuable during power outages or for individuals without immediate access to a phone. I found this metal object while cleaning out the basement of a house I just bought. It's about 6¼ inches long. with a ribbed end that measures 3 inches. It has 3 lockable positions. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a 19th century cobbler's tool known as a peg rasp, more specifically, Townsend's shoe peg rasp with an indexing head. This unusual-looking device was patented in 1866 by Gilbert Townsend of Rochester, New York, and was used by shoemakers to smooth down the rough ends of wooden pegs inside shoes. At the time, wooden pegs were commonly used to fasten soles to boots, before stitching became the standard method. What made Townsend's rasp stand out was its rotating head, which could be locked into different positions. This feature allowed the user to easily reach either the toe or the heel area inside the shoe without having to reposition the entire tool. The ribbed surface served as the rasping blade, while the square shank on the opposite end could be clamped into a bench for stability. Shoemakers would run the rasp along the insole to shave down any sharp or uncomfortable edges left by the protruding pegs. While visiting Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, I found thousands of these tiny creatures along the shore. They have little fins, tails with a small red tip and what looks like 2 eyes. They were floating in really cold water, and some of them seemed to have a bit of orange inside. What you found is a sea angel, a small, free-swimming marine creature. Sea angels are actually a type of shellless sea slug that inhabit oceans all around the world, from polar regions under sea ice to tropical waters. Despite their delicate and translucent appearance, sea angels are specialized predators, often feeding on their close relatives, the shelled sea butterflies. The name sea angel comes from their wing-like appendages called parapodia, which they flap gracefully to move through the water. Although they typically move slowly, flapping their wings once or twice per second, they can produce bursts of speed when chasing prey. These creatures are mostly gelatinous and transparent, with some species displaying hints of bright colors, like the red and orange markings you observed. I've noticed these cylinder-shaped objects on the roofs of a few houses in an older neighborhood. They seem to have gas lines or copper pipes coming out of them, and only a handful of homes in 2 neighboring communities have them. What are these things, and what are they used for? These are rooftop solar water heaters, specifically an older style that was popular in sunny regions like the American Southwest several decades ago. These systems use the power of the sun to heat water directly, helping households reduce their gas or electric bills. The large cylinder you see is actually the insulated storage tank. Beneath it are either flat metal panels or evacuated glass tubes, both designed to absorb sunlight. Inside these collectors are copper pipes or heat transfer fluids that get hot during the day. As the water or fluid heats up, it rises naturally into the tank above, a process known as thermosiphon flow, and the hot water stays stored there until someone in the house needs it. On cloudy days, a backup electric or gas heater usually kicks in to maintain temperature. Systems like this first appeared in the United States in the late 1800s, and by the 1920s, they were fairly common in warm regions. They saw a resurgence during the oil crises of the 1970s, when energy efficiency became a national priority. In fact, President Jimmy Carter had solar water heaters installed on the White House in 1979 to promote renewable energy. Many of the rooftop tanks still visible today date back to that era. I found this steel-handled item with a 2-part flexible spring while cleaning out a house. It says SIPO on the bottom, but the rest of the letters are worn off and unreadable. The house was built in the 1960s in Germany, so I assume the item might be about the same age. Does anyone know what it might have been used for? What you found is a German collapsible baton known as a Stahlroot Blitz, specifically the number 8323 model. These batons were used by the security police in Germany during the 1930s and 1940s, as well as by Gestapo and SIPO officers during World War II. The design features a steel handle and 2 nested spring coils that could extend quickly with a flick of the wrist, locking into place for use. A weighted steel ball at the tip made it even more dangerous. Originally, these batons were manufactured with a blackened steel finish for added durability, and typically included a short leather wrist strap attached to the handle. Many surviving examples are stamped with SIPO and the letters DRGM, indicating a registered German Reich design. Unlike the solid wooden nightsticks carried by British and American police at the time, this spring-loaded steel baton was fairly unique and served as a brutal tool for prisoner control. In many ways, it was a forerunner to the modern collapsible police batons we know today, although it was far more primitive and lethal. I found this copper tube about 3 inches long with flared ends while mowing the lawn. There's a glass bead and what looks like a spring inside. I probably hit it with the mower, and that's why it's shredded open. From the looks of it, the bead would seal the end of the tube under spring pressure. Does anyone know what this is? What you found is the end piece of a jiggle siphon, also known as a shaker siphon or jiggler. This device is used to transfer gasoline, water, or other fluids without the need for suction or electricity. The copper tube with a glass bead and spring inside forms a simple one-way valve. When you shake the siphon up and down in a liquid, the bead lifts, allowing fluid to enter the tube. When the bead falls back down, it seals the opening, preventing backflow. Repeated shaking initiates the siphoning process, and once the liquid starts flowing, gravity keeps it going. I found a patent that explains exactly how this type of siphon works. If you're interested, you can find a link to it in the video description. I found this oval-shaped metal tool among a box of donated sewing and craft supplies. It was sitting next to a spool of banana-colored thread for scale. Any idea what it is? What you found is a vintage book strap, also known as a book carrier. These were commonly used in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, before backpacks became widespread. This particular design was especially popular among school children in the United States and Europe. The straps would wrap around a stack of books, securing them tightly, while the handle provided a convenient grip. It was a practical solution in an era when students often had to transport multiple heavy textbooks without the benefit of modern bags. There were also more advanced versions with more comfortable handles, designed to make carrying even easier. I actually talked about one of those improved models in one of my earlier videos. I found this strange object while walking along a beach in Western Australia. It's about 18 inches long. It almost looks like a piece of coral or a seed pod. Does anyone know what this is? What you've found is the egg case of Syrinx arowanus, better known as the Australian trumpet. It's a protective casing laid by one of the largest sea snails in the world. The female attaches these egg cases to rocks, coral, or other hard surfaces, and when the time comes, tiny snails hatch from them and crawl away to begin life on their own. This giant marine snail holds the record as the largest living shelled gastropod. It can grow up to about 28 inches long and weigh as much as 40 pounds. Its natural habitat includes tropical waters off northern Australia, Papua New Guinea, and parts of Indonesia. Storms, trawling, and shell collectors have had a significant impact on their populations, sometimes dislodging the egg cases and washing them ashore. The Australian trumpet was first illustrated in the 17th century. Its shell is often pale apricot when fresh, but fades to creamy yellow over time. Aboriginal Australians even traditionally used pieces of these shells to craft ornamental nosepins. I found this wooden piece attached to the back of an old church pew. It has 2 round holes, each about the size of a quarter. It looks like it used to hold something, but I'm not sure what. Any idea what it is? What you found is a communion cup holder, typically attached to the back of old church pews to hold individual communion cups after they were used during the service. This practice was especially common in Protestant denominations such as Presbyterian, Methodist, and Baptist churches. During communion, small individual cups filled with wine or grape juice were distributed to the congregation. After partaking, worshipers would place their empty cups into these holders for collection after the service. In some churches, particularly in earlier years, the cups were made of glass and would later be washed and reused. What is this large, matte, black object being transported on a flatbed truck with a police escort? It looks like a featureless, rectangular structure with rounded edges, almost like a stealth vehicle or part of a military installation. That large structure you saw is actually a packaged wastewater treatment tank, a modern, prefabricated system used to clean sewage in areas that don't have access to a central sewer line. These tanks are commonly used in rural communities, construction sites, industrial facilities, or places where the ground conditions don't support a standard septic system. Inside the tank is a complete treatment system. The process typically includes several steps: removing debris, biological treatment using beneficial bacteria, sedimentation, and sometimes disinfection with ultraviolet light. The concept of package treatment plants dates back to the mid-20th century. For example, in 1961, the United Kingdom installed its first packaged sewage treatment system, the Oxygest-activated sludge plant in Scotland, to serve a local school. Most modern systems use what's known as moving bed biofilm reactor or integrated fixed film activated sludge technology. These systems contain small plastic carriers inside the tank that provide surfaces for bacteria to grow. As these carriers move through the water, they help break down waste by maximizing contact with pollutants. I found this on the beach in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and I can't figure out if it's man-made or natural. It feels kind of like a nut. It's hard but hollow, and it won't open along the black seam. Any idea what this is? What you've found is known as a sea bean, or more specifically, a drift seed. Despite its nut-like appearance, it's actually a seed from a tropical plant that grows along riverbanks or coastal shorelines. They fall into waterways and are carried by rivers into the ocean, where they can drift for thousands of miles before washing up on distant shores. Their hard, buoyant shells allow them to survive long periods at sea, sometimes even years, before they reach land. Many sea beans are hollow or contain internal air pockets, which help them float across the ocean. In Florida, especially during the fall months, it's common to find various types of sea beans like the sea heart, hamburger bean, and knickernut washed ashore, particularly after storms. Collectors often search for these seeds because of their unique shapes and colors, and some people even polish them to create jewelry or decorative items. I found a very heavy rusted metal bar laying in a bush next to my driveway. There are no markings or writing on it. Any idea what it is? What you found is a water meter key, a specialized tool designed to turn water supply valves on and off, typically located in underground meter boxes near the street or sidewalk. These keys are commonly used by utility workers, plumbers, and homeowners to control the main water supply to a property. The design of a water meter key is straightforward: a long metal shaft with a T-shaped handle at one end and a U-shaped or slotted fitting at the other. This fitting engages with the valve mechanism inside the meter box, allowing the user to open or close the valve with a simple turn. The length of the shaft enables access to valves that are located deep underground without the need to reach into confined spaces. I found this in an old office building in New York City. It's made of wood and what looks like cast iron, and it stands about 5 feet tall. Is this some kind of dolly or pry bar? What you've found is a Johnson bar, also known as a pry truck, lever dolly, or J-bar. This heavy-duty tool has been a staple in warehouses, factories, and print shops since the mid-20th century, and it's designed to help a single person lift and shift extremely heavy objects like safes, presses, or large crates. The term Johnson bar actually has earlier roots in railroads and old buses. It originally referred to large hand levers used to control brakes or gears. By the 1950s, the name had also come to describe these lever-style dollies used for moving heavy loads. No one knows exactly who Johnson was. The name just stuck over time. I found this object as a kid in southern Germany and have kept it in a box ever since. It's quite heavy for its size and has a small drilled hole in the back. Could this hole have been made to test the type of metal? Any idea what this could be? The object you found appears to be a medieval seal from a market town. The top inscription likely reads Sigil VM BVRG, which was commonly used to denote official seals of towns or boroughs in medieval Europe. Typically, this inscription would be followed by the town's name, though the lettering on your seal might be too worn to read clearly. The emblem on the seal likely represents the coat of arms of the corresponding town. In this case, it resembles the coat of arms of Bonn, Germany. The design features the cross of the Electorate of Cologne at the top and a lion below, symbols that were commonly used by towns under the rule or influence of Cologne's electors. These seals were typically used to authenticate documents and official transactions, signifying the town's autonomy and status in the region. The weight and durability of the seal reflect its importance as a trusted official symbol in administrative and legal affairs. I found this in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It looks like a very small concrete bench or seat positioned near the curb, facing away from the road. It's too small even for a child, and I noticed several of them around town. Does anyone know what these could be? These small concrete structures you found are likely old carriage steps. In the days of horse-drawn carriages, especially during the 18th and 19th centuries, these steps were commonly placed near curbs to help people step into and out of carriages more easily. Carriage steps provided a stable, elevated platform for passengers, making it safer and more convenient to access the carriages, especially for women in long dresses or older individuals. I found this bronze-colored metal object at my grandma's house, and no one seems to know what it is. It's about 13 centimeters long, has crown-like open ends with pointed tips that show some wear, and there is threading in the center. Could this be just a decorative item, or does it serve a specific purpose? The item you found is a vajra, a ritual object with deep symbolic meaning in Hinduism and Buddhism, often referred to as the thunderbolt or diamond, due to its association with strength and indestructibility. The vajra typically has crown-like pointed ends that represent the combination of spiritual power and clarity, qualities that can cut through ignorance. The threaded center is where the object is held during rituals. In Buddhist traditions, the vajra symbolizes the unbreakable and enduring nature of enlightenment and is frequently paired with a ritual bell known as a ghanta. Together, the vajra and the ghanta represent the union of wisdom, symbolized by the bell, and compassion, represented by the vajra, two qualities essential for spiritual growth. In Hindu mythology, the vajra is associated with Indra, the god of thunder, who wields it as a powerful weapon to protect and maintain cosmic order. I found a heavy metal ball attached to a high-quality rope lying next to some horse tracks. Does anyone know what this might be used for? The item you found is called a monkey's fist. Originally, it was a weighted knot used by sailors to add weight to a rope, making it easier to throw over long distances, such as from one ship to another. The heavy end provided momentum, making the rope easier to control and guide. Over time, the monkey's fist was also adapted as a weapon known as a slingshot, which involves a heavy metal ball inside the knot. This weapon became popular in the 19th century for its ability to deliver powerful strikes. I found this object in my grandfather's garage. It measures 16.5 centimeters in height, 43 centimeters in length, and 10 centimeters in depth. It seems like it's meant to cut something, but I have no idea what. There's also an inscription that says superior. Does anyone know what that could be? The item you found is a vintage tobacco cutter, manufactured by the Superior Company in the 1920s. Tobacco cutters like this were widely used to slice blocks or plugs of tobacco into thin, manageable strips for chewing or pipe smoking. The process was simple yet effective. Users would place the tobacco block under a levered blade, which, when pressed down, would cleanly slice through the tobacco, making it easier to consume or prepare. Historically, cutting tobacco by hand was a widespread practice before pre-cut and packaged products became common. In the early 20th century, many households, especially in rural areas, had their own tobacco cutters to ensure they could enjoy fresh cuts as needed. Superior, among other manufacturers, gained recognition for crafting durable cutters that could withstand frequent use. These cutters were often mounted on countertops or workbenches to provide a stable base during use. I found a slightly rusty metal plate with the word "stop" in cutout lettering. It's approximately 8 by 6 centimeters and came in a box of vintage jewelry parts I bought at a flea market. It looks like it was originally mounted on something, as there are holes on the bottom, but there are no maker's marks or other identifying features. Any idea what this could be? The item you found is a brake light frame from an antique car, specifically a rear light plate with "stop" in cutout letters, used on vintage Ford models around 1928 to 1929. In the early years of automobile manufacturing, only one rear brake light was required, as there were fewer cars on the road, and speeds were much lower than today. Manufacturers often added plates like this with cutout letters to make it easier for drivers behind to see when the car was stopping. I found a gold-colored sphere with legs and a handle. The sphere splits in two, and each side has a lid. One lid is labeled Wilson's Patent, while the other has a series of letters and a small shield symbol. Does anyone know what this object might be? The item you found is a Victorian folding biscuit box. This design was popularized in the 19th century, with models by companies like Fenton Brothers Silver Company becoming well known. The Wilson's Patent marking suggests it might have been made by Wilson's. These boxes were crafted with elaborate details and often made from sterling silver, which adds to their collectible value today. If yours is indeed sterling, it can be quite valuable. I found this structure in a local park near a community college. It has a sturdy concrete base and stands about 4.5 meters tall. Located in a large field, it's away from other structures except for a small path nearby. The inside has metal fins, and it's semi-near a small lake. Any idea what this might be? The structure you found is likely a bat house, designed to provide a safe habitat for bats near parks or natural areas. Bat houses are often tall with a sturdy base and have interior fins or partitions that create multiple chambers, allowing bats to roost in a protected environment. Bats are highly beneficial to ecosystems as they help control insect populations, especially around water sources like lakes where insects tend to gather. I found a small wooden box with a sort of dial on the front that can turn but stops at certain points. There's another one like it in a nearby pew. Any idea what this could be? The box you found is likely part of an older church sound system designed to assist worshipers with hearing impairments. The dial functions as a volume control, and the sockets would connect to handheld hearing aids, which were used before modern hearing aids became common. Known as a hearing loop or inductive loop system, this setup transmitted sound from the church microphone directly to these devices, allowing worshipers with hearing difficulties to hear sermons more clearly. These systems were often installed in select pews to support those needing additional auditory assistance. I found a strange axe-like object in a mountain meadow in Germany. At first glance, it looks like an axe head, but its asymmetrical shape and the unusually placed eye make me wonder if it has a different purpose. Any ideas on what this could be? The object you found is likely the head of a lever axe, a unique tool designed specifically for splitting wood. This type of axe head was developed by Finnish craftsman Heikki Karna. Unlike traditional axe heads, which are symmetrical and straight, the lever axe head has an asymmetrical shape and an offset eye that creates a levering action when splitting wood. This design allows the head to twist automatically upon impact, directing the force sideways and making it easier to split the wood. A friend shared this interesting find from the United States. It's a wooden object, 68 centimeters tall, 45 centimeters across, with 14 spikes measuring 5 centimeters each. It looks quite elegant, but no one knows what it is. Any thoughts on what this could be? This item is a rug hooker's rack, used for organizing strips of wool or yarn. It stands next to the person hooking the rug, allowing them to sort different lengths and colors of wool or other materials for easier access while working. I found a leather pouch with circular cushion-like knobs on the inside. It's made of pleather material on the outside, resembling a wallet, and has a velvety interior. Any idea what this could be used for? The item you found is a glasses case designed for storing eyeglasses. The lenses go inside the case and the temples extend out through the back. The pleather exterior and velvety interior help protect the glasses from scratches and damage. The leather string with a latch and the loopy attachment are likely meant for securing the case to a bag or belt for convenience. I came across a reflective prism attached to the side of a government building. It's made of hard metal, has no wires or markings, and appears to emanate light similar to a camera flash, yet it doesn't seem electronic. Does anyone know what this could be for? The item you found is most likely an optical survey prism used in geotechnical and structural monitoring. Its purpose is to measure movement, settlement, or leaning of a structure, especially when there is construction nearby. A total station, a device positioned on another building, shoots a laser beam that reflects back from the prism. By tracking the beam's return, the total station can calculate the prism's location and any changes in position over time. Engineers use this data to detect potential shifts in the building's stability. I found a heavy object, about 25 centimeters in diameter, with round chucks that drop into a middle shaft. It was in a wooden box labeled Valvoline Oil Company. The top part rotates relative to the base, and there's a dial that locks onto teeth on the pivot. A pendulum swings up when the inner plate is pressed. Any idea what this might be? The item you found is likely an instrument used for measuring the viscosity of semi-solids. The apparatus is meant to be positioned horizontally. The calibrated weight deflects along an arc when a substance passes through the central orifice, pushing the needle down. The force exerted by the semi-solid on the inner black plate causes the pendulum to move, indicating viscosity. This setup measures how much resistance the material has as it flows through, helping to determine its thickness or consistency. I found this tiny object in the return slot of a Coinstar machine. It looks like a small gun, possibly made of brass with a black rubber handle featuring a symbol that resembles a U in the middle of a flower. The barrel has 2 indentations and is hollow, making me think it could be some type of key. Any idea what this could be used for? The item you found is a key for a steering wheel lock, which is part of an anti-theft system for vehicles. The key inserts into the lock mechanism on the steering wheel to secure or release it. This type of lock prevents the wheel from turning, serving as a theft deterrent. Mechanical steering wheel locks were widely used before electronic and more advanced anti-theft systems became common. I found a structure near the side of the road in West Virginia that has 3 open sections resembling rooms. It's close to a sign indicating that a skirmish occurred there during the Civil War. The structure seems fairly large, even if the picture may not capture its true size. Does anyone know what this could be or its historical significance? The structure you found might be a lime kiln, which was historically used to produce lime or calcium oxide by heating limestone. Lime kilns were especially common in the 18th and 19th centuries and were often built near limestone-rich areas. These kilns typically feature open sections that resemble rooms or chambers, matching your description. During the Civil War era, lime kilns played an important role as lime was crucial for construction and soil treatment in agriculture. I found this hammer with a classic wooden handle and a typical flat end. However, the opposing end of the hammerhead has an unusual rounded shape. Does anyone know what this specific type of hammer is used for? The hammer you found is an auto body hammer, specifically used for shaping and repairing car body panels. The unique shape with one flat end and a rounded or peen end is designed to smooth out dents or mold metal into specific shapes without causing further damage. In practice, the hammer is often held in place while another tool is used to strike it, providing precision when working with metal sheets. I inherited an old wood knot sculpture with a Hebrew inscription from my father. He told me he found it in the mud during a dig near his house in Jacarapagua, a suburb of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, when he was a child, circa 1930. Does anyone know what this could be? This unique wooden sculpture you inherited is likely an old souvenir from Jerusalem, featuring a Hebrew inscription that reads Jerusalem in a biblical form pronounced Yerushalem. The building carved on the wood might represent the Tiferet Yisrael synagogue, an important structure in the Jewish quarter of Jerusalem that was destroyed in 1948 during the conflict. A friend bought this small item, about 2.5 centimeters long, at a charity shop in Greece. It appears to be made of light, hollow steel, with an orange and brown stone at the end that feels quite brittle. The steel is tarnished, and there are no markings on it. Does anyone know what this could be or its possible use? The item you found is a piercing bar from the brand Monster Piercing, used for body piercings. The silver ball likely unscrews, allowing the bar to be inserted or removed for use. Such body jewelry pieces are common in various piercing styles and are typically made from materials like surgical steel for durability and safety. I found this item in the basement of an old home. It looks like a coin, but it's hollow and can be opened. I've had it since I was a kid and used to store other coins inside or pass little notes to friends. Does anyone know what this might actually be? The item you found is actually a coin lighter designed to look like a 19th century French coin. It was likely produced in the 1950s or 1960s, which was a popular era for novelty items like this. Originally, it would have included lighter components, but it seems some parts are now missing. My contractor brings this item with him into my house every day, and I'm not sure what it is. It has Uruguay written on the front. Does anyone know what this could be? The item your contractor brings is a yerba mate teacup, commonly used throughout South America, especially in countries like Uruguay and Argentina. Yerba mate is a traditional herbal tea made from the leaves of the Ilex paraguariensis plant, and it's usually enjoyed with a special straw called a bombela. The cup, often made from materials like wood, metal, or gourds, helps enhance the flavor and is a staple for drinking this caffeine-rich tea. Drinking yerba mate is a social ritual, and the cups are designed for durability and comfort. I came across a Staples wall clock with an interesting design. The hours from 12 to 5 and 6 to 11 are green, while the hours from 5 to 6 and 11 to 12 are pink. The colors appear original and haven't been altered. Do these colors signify something specific? The unique color coding on the Staples wall clock could be related to time management techniques, such as the Pomodoro technique. This method involves 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break. The green and pink segments may indicate periods of productivity and rest, respectively. I found this item in an old cabinet. It's made entirely of glass and has narrowing holes that go all the way through. Does anyone know what this could be used for? The item you found is likely a flower frog, used to hold flower arrangements in place within a vase. Flower frogs were commonly made of glass until they became less popular due to the availability of floral foam and gels. The yellowish or amber tinge in the glass could indicate when it was made. Before 1914, manganese was used to render glass colorless, but it would eventually turn purple with exposure to ultraviolet light. However, after the start of World War I, glassmakers switched to selenium, which resulted in a yellowish or amber tint under ultraviolet light. This practice mostly stopped around 1941, when selenium was needed for military purposes. So, glass with this coloration was likely produced between approximately 1915 and 1941. I found this steel object in the attic of an old home. It's metal with a white substance on the surface, possibly from weathering. It originally had 5 prongs, but one has broken off. The screw at the top still functions. Does anyone know what this might be used for? The object you found is an anode from a vintage Daniell cell, a type of early electrochemical battery. The zinc electrode, which resembles a foot in shape, was placed in a glass jar with copper beads and an electrolyte solution generating around 1 volt per cell. To produce higher voltage, multiple cells were connected in series. The prongs on the zinc electrode increase surface area, which enhances current output and allows for more efficient ion transfer between zinc and copper, improving the cell's effectiveness. I found this item along with other fireplace tools in a house I bought. It has a faint smell of asphalt and no manufacturer markings. The handle of the container it sits in has a cutout, likely for hanging on a nail. Does anyone know what this could be? The item you found is a Cape Cod fire starter, also known as a fire starter pot. These were commonly used to make starting a fire easy. The cast iron pot would be filled halfway with kerosene or lamp oil, and a soapstone inside would soak up the fuel. When lit, the kerosene-soaked stone would burn for around 10 minutes, plenty of time to ignite the logs without needing kindling or newspaper. I found a cardboard item labeled Immune 1949 with symbols resembling a pound sign, a crutch, and possibly a shell. It seems to be from the United Kingdom. Does anyone know what this might represent? The badge you found is likely a vaccination badge, possibly indicating immunity to smallpox. The letter S may stand for smallpox, and the symbols on the badge could represent an ampule and syringe. In the United Kingdom and elsewhere, badges like these were sometimes issued to indicate that a person had been vaccinated. Smallpox was a significant health threat, but thanks to widespread vaccination efforts, the last natural outbreak in the United States occurred in 1949. By 1980, the World Health Assembly declared smallpox eradicated globally, marking one of the greatest successes in public health history. What is this tool? It looks like a hammer, but it has a unique star-shaped head. I found it in my grandfather's workshop among other old tools. Does anyone know what it might be used for? This is a star bit sharpening hammer, used in blacksmithing to create a star-shaped point on a drill rod for rock drilling. The process involves heating the rod, shaping it with the hammer, and then cooling it to harden the point. This particular hammer also resembles a riveting hammer with a narrow side and a split or rose head, allowing it to give rivets a finished look in just one strike. Due to these features, it likely served both as a shaping and riveting tool in the workshop. What is this tool with an internal spring and several bits stored in the base? The base rotates and has a small hole that releases each bit when aligned. My dad collected a wide variety of tools, so it's hard to tell its age. Does anyone know what this tool is used for? This tool is a push drill, a hand-operated device designed for drilling small holes with minimal effort. Push drills use a spring-loaded mechanism. When you push down on the handle, the internal spring and spiral shaft convert the downward pressure into a rotational motion, which spins the drill bit. Push drills were commonly used in woodworking, cabinetry, and household repairs, especially before electric drills became widespread. What is this sliding and locking mechanism on the bottom of my lighter? When I slide it out, a tubular section with a sharpened edge pops out. Does anyone know what it's used for? The feature at the bottom of your lighter is likely an integrated cigar punch cutter. Once extended and locked in place, this tubular section with a sharpened edge allows you to punch a small, clean hole in the end of a cigar. This provides a controlled cut, making it easier to draw smoke without damaging the wrapper. Punch cutters like this are commonly included in high-end lighters for the convenience of cigar enthusiasts. I found this device deep in my church's storage. It looks like it has a slot for a battery, multiple lights, and a knob that clicks when twisted. It seems to be from the 1970s and is primarily made of aluminum. Could it have been used for something related to tithing, or does anyone know its actual purpose? This device is an electric candle lighting fixture that some churches used as a safer alternative to traditional votive candles. The ritual of lighting a candle traditionally works like this. You make a small donation and then light a votive candle for the person you're praying for. Starting in the mid-20th century, some churches began offering these electric versions instead. Depending on the setup, you either insert a coin into a slot and the candle lights up automatically, or you place money in a collection box and turn on the candle manually. I found a steel L-shaped object measuring about 9 by 5 centimeters and only 3 millimeters thick. It has writing on it, and it might be a naval tool from around 1944. Does anyone know what this could be used for? This is a drill sharpening gauge, used to check and verify the precision of drill bit sharpening. The markings on the angled side help in measuring the lip length of the drill bit and ensure that the bit has been ground correctly to maintain concentricity, rather than being off-center. This gauge was stamped by 2 different machinists or naval engineers, one of whom served on the North Dakota SSN 784 submarine. Drill point grinding gauges like this one were common tools for machinists, especially in naval settings, to ensure that drill bits were accurately maintained for effective and safe use. I found this small metal tool among some antique sewing supplies. It has a cupped eye on one end and a handle that looks like it might be made of ivory. Does anyone know what this tool might be used for? This tool is likely an earwax scoop, a small instrument often found in antique sewing kits to collect and apply wax to thread. Some of these tools had a dual purpose. One end would feature a pointed tip like a bodkin for making holes in fabric or leather, while the other end held a small scoop for gathering earwax. The earwax could then be applied to thread to prevent fraying. Those who could afford it used beeswax for this purpose, but thrifty seamstresses found earwax to be a convenient and free alternative. Earwax scoops and similar sewing tools came in various lengths, with some reaching up to 7 inches, making them especially practical for delicate hand-sewing tasks. I found a small brass or brass-colored sculpture of a legs in a boot with a pointy toe at an antique shop. It's around 5 to 6 centimeters long, quite heavy for its size, and has no markings to indicate its origin or age. From the style of the boot, it might be pre-Victorian. Does anyone know what this might have been used for? This item is likely a tobacco pipe tamper, a tool used by pipe smokers to gently pack the tobacco in the bowl, ensuring an even burn and preventing the tobacco from going out too quickly. Pipe tampers became popular in the 18th and 19th centuries and were often made from materials like brass, silver, or wood. Tampers were frequently crafted in unique shapes, such as miniatures of boots, legs, or other objects, adding a decorative touch. The leg or boot design you found might reflect a pre-Victorian or Victorian aesthetic, a time when finely crafted smoking accessories were popular among gentlemen. Some tampers were even part of multi-tools with additional features, like cleaning picks. I found this mysterious object years ago near a forest in western Germany in the Ostwestfalen region. It's fairly heavy, heavier than wood, but not quite as heavy as lead. Someone suggested it might be a lead seal. Could anyone confirm if that's correct or suggest what else it might be? What you found is likely a German emergency currency coin, or Notgeld, from the 1920s. During that period, some German states issued small change in various materials to address economic shortages, and thousands of unique designs were produced. This particular coin features a horse chestnut, a tree commonly associated with the German tradition of drinking beer in its shade, a key element of beer garden culture. The material is likely Böttger stoneware, a hard and durable ceramic invented by Johann Friedrich Böttger in the early 18th century and produced at the Royal Porcelain Factory in Meissen. While Meissen porcelain Notgeld coins became especially common after World War II, your coin may be from an earlier period. I found this small leather piece with straps and adjustable buckles years ago. It's about 15 by 18 centimeters, and there were two originally, though I've since lost one. I can't figure out how it would be worn on any body part or used on an animal. Does anyone know what it might be for? This item is a decorative boot strap. Such straps were often used as an ornamental addition to boots, adding a rugged or stylish touch to the footwear. Decorative boot straps became popular in certain styles of Western and military fashion. These straps were especially common in the mid-20th century, but are still seen in some boot designs today, particularly in Western, biker, and vintage-inspired styles. I found a steel tool with a pointed tip about 14 inches long, with dull edges and a rectangular cross-section. It has the number 3 inscribed on it, a leather-wrapped handle, and it came in a worn leather sheath. I discovered it in the back of a closet in a house we just bought. The previous owners were in the Navy, so it might be related to naval equipment. Does anyone know what this tool might be used for? This item is a naval officer's swagger stick, traditionally carried as a symbol of authority and pride. Swagger sticks trace their origins to the vine staff, used by Roman centurions, and became popular in British and American military uniforms in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. In the Navy, these sticks were often made from durable materials like steel, with leather-wrapped handles to give them a refined look. While swagger sticks did not serve a practical purpose in daily tasks, they symbolized an officer's confidence and status. The wear on the leather and steel suggests that it was worn frequently, possibly during parades, inspections, or other ceremonial events. Given that the previous owners served in the Navy, this stick likely held personal or ceremonial significance for them. I inherited it from my grandfather, who was a carpenter, so it might be related to woodworking. Any ideas on what it could be used for? This tool is a dowel maker, used by woodworkers to create dowels, small cylindrical rods that serve as strong, invisible joints in woodworking projects. Dowel makers like this one allow carpenters to create custom-sized dowels, often by feeding a square or slightly oversized piece of wood through the tool. The sharp blade inside shapes the wood into a perfect dowel, ensuring a precise fit. Dowel makers were particularly popular in traditional carpentry, as they enabled woodworkers to craft dowels on demand, making them ideal for custom projects. Your grandfather, as a carpenter, likely used this tool to create dowels for furniture joints or other joinery work. I found a square reflective metal plate and a metal stick, both with identical holes to look through. They were on a 1972 sailing boat, originally from Denmark and stored in the emergency kit with flares and other emergency items. Does anyone know what these might be used for? This item is a signal mirror, specifically designed for visual signaling in emergency situations. It's made in Germany, as indicated by the word Fabrik, which means factory, and possibly manufactured in Augsburg, a city known for industrial production. The mirror includes a small metal stick, often referred to as a sighting device, to help accurately aim the reflected light. To use it, you look through the hole in the sighting stick toward your target and adjust the mirror to reflect sunlight onto the pointer. This ensures that the sunlight is aimed precisely at the target, allowing for a clear and controlled visual signal. It can also be used to signal in Morse code by slightly adjusting the mirror or the pointer. Signal mirrors like these are essential in emergency kits on boats, as they allow for long-distance signaling without batteries or other power sources. I found this relatively heavy metal object marked with HMO on the larger piece. It was in a box of old kitchen supplies from the 1990s. Does anyone know what this could be used for? This item is a nutcracker, a tool specifically designed for cracking the hard shells of nuts. Nutcrackers come in various designs, including levers, screws, and ratchets. They can also be used to crack the shells of lobster and crab. The V-shaped part is for cracking walnuts or pecans, while the smaller picks are used to extract the nut meat from the shell. Nutcrackers are often made from durable metals to effectively handle tough shells and are common in vintage kitchen tool collections. I found these strange glasses with non-prescription lenses that significantly restrict peripheral vision. They also say, "Made in France." Does anyone know what these might be used for? These unusual glasses are likely a variation of snow goggles, traditionally used to protect the eyes from snow blindness caused by the intense reflection of sunlight off snow. Snow goggles were historically used by indigenous Arctic peoples and later adapted for mountaineering and skiing. By limiting peripheral vision and allowing only a narrow slit for viewing, they reduce the amount of light entering the eyes, helping prevent eye strain and damage in bright snow-covered landscapes. However, unlike traditional snow goggles, the pair you found has a larger gap between the restrictors, suggesting a modified design. I found several old newspaper ads featuring similar glasses, suggesting they may have been used by drivers to shield their eyes from sunlight while driving. I found a kitchen utensil with a wooden handle attached to a round metal cup that has 3 spikes, each with a hole. The cup's diameter is around 5 to 6 centimeters. Does anyone know what this could be used for? This kitchen utensil is a funnel for making fios de ovos, also known as egg threads, a traditional Portuguese sweet made by pouring egg yolks through a funnel into simmering syrup. This process creates fine, delicate strands of cooked egg yolk that are both sweet and slightly chewy. Like other Portuguese egg-based sweets, fios de ovos is believed to have been created by Portuguese nuns around the 14th or 15th century. Convents and monasteries commonly performed laundry services using egg whites to starch clothes, which left a large surplus of yolks. To make use of these yolks, nuns began developing egg-based desserts. Between the 16th and 18th centuries, Portuguese explorers introduced fios de ovos to Japan, Thailand, and parts of India, where it became popular in local cuisine. In Portugal, egg threads are typically served at festive occasions as a dessert or garnish, often paired with nuts, fruit, or cakes. I found a strange glass ball suspended by screws within a metal frame that appears bronze or gold in color. The whole object is about 25 centimeters in height, with the glass ball itself measuring roughly 18 to 20 centimeters in diameter. The frame, which looks golden in photos, is actually more of a bronze shade. The glass ball can rotate and seems removable from the metal frame if the right tools are used. Does anyone know what this could be? This object is likely a Campbell-Stokes recorder, a type of sunshine recorder used to measure the duration of sunlight over a day. It was invented by John Francis Campbell in 1853 and later modified in 1879 by Sir George Gabriel Stokes. The glass sphere focuses sunlight onto a specially designed recording card, and as the sun moves across the sky, the focused light creates a burn trace on the card, marking the hours of sunlight. This device, in use since the 19th century, is commonly seen in meteorological stations and provides an accurate visual record of sunshine hours. However, it has a limitation. When the sun is low in the sky, it may not have enough strength to properly burn the card, so it only measures the amount of bright sunshine as opposed to visible sunshine. I have an object hanging outside my fireplace that appears to contain gears and can rotate into the fireplace. It's been there for ages, and the medallion seems to say Salter & Co. Does anyone know what this might be used for? This object is a clockwork spit turner, also known as a spit jack, made by the company Salter & Company and used historically to rotate meat automatically. It contains a clockwork mechanism that allows it to turn the spit at a steady pace without needing constant attention. To use it, the meat would be hung on a spit. The spit jack wound up and then positioned beside the fire, ensuring even cooking on all sides. In earlier times, before mechanical spit turners were widely available, cooks sometimes relied on a breed of dog known as the turnspit dog to rotate the spit. This breed, specifically trained for the task, would walk in a wheel connected to the spit, which rotated the meat. This practice was especially common in the 16th to 19th centuries in England and other parts of Europe. I found a very light glass tube with a hole at the top and a thinner, upwards bending tube coming out from one side. I discovered it in my grandpa's attic in Switzerland, where it has likely been stored for at least 20 years, if not longer. My grandpa was a farmer in a small village, so I'm unsure how this item might relate to his work. There are no markings on it. Does anyone know what this could be used for? This item is likely a neti pot, a tool traditionally used in the practice of yala neti, a yogic technique for nasal cleansing. Originating in ancient India and used in hatha yoga, the neti pot is filled with a saline solution and helps clear nasal passages. While it may seem unusual to find a neti pot in an attic in Switzerland, similar tools have been used worldwide for sinus cleansing and could have been adopted for personal health practices. Neti pots became popular in various countries as interest in holistic and alternative health grew in the 20th century. I found these solid white domes of varying sizes all over the Andalusian region of Spain. The one pictured here is about a meter high and a meter wide, though some were bigger. They are solid with no openings and seem to be made from some sort of rendered material, possibly concrete. Does anyone know what these are? These solid white domes are likely anti-tank obstacles, used to prevent or slow down the movement of tanks and other armored vehicles. These types of structures, sometimes known as dragon's teeth when shaped differently, were commonly constructed in various forms across Europe during the 20th century. In the Andalusian region, these domes could have been strategically placed in areas where they would obstruct potential vehicle movement, especially in mountainous or rural terrains. I found this item in an attic today, and it looks like it could be some kind of explosive. It has a diameter of approximately 10 centimeters. Does anyone know what type of explosive this might be? The item you found appears to be a Scoville Model 1907M artillery shell, possibly a 105 millimeters projectile based on its approximate 10 centimeters diameter. According to an explosive ordnance disposal technician, this shell does not seem to have been inerted, which means it may still contain active explosives. Early artillery fuses relied on mechanical parts like pins and rotors that could potentially align with movement, posing a risk if disturbed. It is essential to avoid touching or moving it further. I found an unusual item in the shape of a pumpkin that opens on a hinge. Inside, there's a latch that holds a small glass jar with a sharp pin attached. There's also a flat glass surface that opens to reveal a small compartment. Does anyone know what this could be used for? This object is likely a vinaigrette, a small container used in Victorian times to hold smelling salts or scented substances like perfume. These pieces were designed to be hung from a chatelaine chain, a type of decorative belt clip with chains attached, allowing women to carry essential items like keys, watches, and other small accessories. In the 18th and 19th centuries, vinaigrettes were popular because people believed in the medicinal benefits of aromatic substances, especially in crowded or unpleasant urban environments. The small compartment held a sponge soaked in vinegar or perfume, which users could open to inhale and counteract foul odors or even alleviate dizziness or nausea. The use of vinaigrettes declined by the early 20th century as perfumes became more accessible and urban sanitation improved, reducing the need for personal air fresheners. I noticed this unusual glass-encased machine in the Addams family, with Gomez and on Scrooge McDuck's desk. It appears to have gears and mechanisms inside and spits out long rolls of paper. What is this machine and what was it used for? It's a stock ticker, a device invented in the 19th century to provide real-time updates on stock market activity. Wealthy individuals and businesses would have a telegraph line run to their office or home, allowing them to receive updates directly from the stock market. The machine decoded signals from the stock exchange into three-letter stock codes and numerical prices, printing them onto thin paper tape. The use of stock tickers remained popular well into the 20th century, and the codes they printed are still in use today as ticker symbols. Modern financial displays, like scrolling LED boards, simulate the look of old stock tickers. Interestingly, the term ticker tape parade originates from this device. The machines used rolls of paper tape that would often accumulate in nearby wastebaskets. During parades in financial districts, people would traditionally toss these tapes out of windows, creating the confetti effect now associated with celebratory events. I found an antique tool that resembles a fork. It has sharp points and measures about 23 centimeters from top to bottom and 7 centimeters across the head. Does anyone know what this tool might be used for? This tool is a vintage icebreaker or ice chipper, specifically the Gilchrist No. 50 model. Designed in the early 1900s, it was used for breaking and chipping large blocks of ice. At a time when ice was delivered in blocks for home ice boxes or bars, tools like these were essential for creating smaller, usable pieces. Bartenders and homeowners relied on it to separate frozen chunks or shape ice for drinks. Vintage Gilchrist ice chippers are still occasionally used today, as they remain functional despite their age. Interestingly, the brand Acopa continues to produce ice chippers with a similar design, as this style has proven to be reliable and effective for handling ice. I found an object that seems to be a clock or some kind of timing device. It appears that some internal components might be missing. Below the clock face, there's what looks like a winder, but there are no visible letters or numbers on any part of it. The object measures 12 centimeters across the front and has a depth of 6 centimeters. Does anyone know what this might be? This device is a night watchman's clock, a tool used historically by security personnel to log their patrols and ensure they check specific locations on schedule. Inside the clock, there's a paper tape connected to the mechanism that advances with time. As the watchmen patrolled the facility, they would locate keys attached to chains on the walls at designated checkpoints. Inserting and turning the key would punch or mark the paper tape, recording the exact time and location visited. This system provided a clear record of the watchmen's rounds and assured their presence at each checkpoint. The use of watchmen's clocks began in the late 19th century and became widespread in the early 20th century as a reliable method to monitor security patrols in factories, warehouses, and large facilities. Over time, these clocks were gradually replaced by electronic systems, which use keypads, barcodes, or even digital apps for logging patrols. I found a piece of furniture with a tap and a pump handle, but it's a bit of a mystery. The handle and tap on top don't connect to the cupboard below, and the handle doesn't seem to move or open anything. This item was found at a local auction. It's about 1.5 meters tall and 30 centimeters deep, with a shelf inside the cupboard in the middle. Does anyone know what this might be used for? This piece of furniture is a Breton cider pump, a type of ornamental cider dispenser that originated in Brittany, France in the late 19th century. These cider pumps were often made from cherry or birch wood and had a functional brass tap and pump handle. When operated, the handle drew liquid from a reservoir through a tube to the brass tap, allowing cider to be dispensed easily. By the mid-20th century, as modern refrigeration and other serving methods became commonplace, cider pumps became collectibles, prized for their craftsmanship and historic charm, representing traditional French heritage. I found a unique metal object about 23 centimeters long that belonged to my grandfather, who was born in 1925. The object is solid and has a pointed end with the decorative bands along the shaft. The top of the piece has a design that resembles a crown. Does anyone know what this might be or what it might have been used for? This item appears to be an antique metal pointer or teaching tool from the early to mid-20th century. Similar items were used by teachers to point to information on chalkboards or maps. These pointers were typically made from metal, wood, or sometimes even ivory. The decorative bands along the shaft and the crown-like design at the top suggest that it may have been intended for a prestigious school or even used ceremonially, giving it a slightly more ornamental appearance than a standard pointer. I found a heavy tool in the desk of a chemical engineer. Everything on it screws in and out, except for a rotating arm that slides freely in and out. Does anyone know what this might be or what it could be used for? The object you found is a bicycle chain tool, a small screw press, specifically designed for working with bicycle chains. This tool allows for adjustments such as repairing, shortening, or lengthening the chain. To use it, you need to align the chain link with the tool's pressing pin. By turning the screw, the pin in the chain link is gradually pushed out, allowing the link to detach. Once the necessary adjustments are made, the chain can be reassembled by pressing the pin back into place. I found an unusual item in the basement of the physics department. The center disc is made of glass, and there's a blue fabric-like material on it. Does anyone know what this might be or what it could have been used for? The device you found is probably an electrostatic generator. a machine designed to produce static electricity through the triboelectric effect. Electrostatic generators, such as the Wimshurst or Bonetti machines, were invented in the 18th century and became widely used in physics laboratories and educational establishments throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries. The triboelectric effect, which occurs when certain materials rub against each other to generate an electrical charge, is the principle behind these machines. In this particular device, the glass disc and blue fabric create friction generating a static charge. This charge is then collected in various parts of the machine, often in capacitors or Leyden jars, to produce a visible spark or to carry out experiments. We got this tool as a donation at the museum, but we don't know what it is. It has a metal head with 2 prongs and a wooden handle. Does anyone know what it is? The tool you found is probably a picaroon or hookaroon. Historically, these tools were used in lumberyards and sawmills to move logs and timber. Workers used them to pull, push, and reposition heavy logs with greater ease and precision. The pointed, curved end of the metal head gripped the wood, allowing workers to maneuver logs with minimal effort. Picaroons and hookaroons date back to the 19th century and were essential tools in North American and European lumberyards. Some older models, such as the one you found, may have been custom-made by blacksmiths for specific tasks, resulting in slightly different designs. What is this small metal tool with evenly sized prongs marked with even numbers? We bought it at a beach thrift store, and it looks like it might be made of brass. Could it be some kind of sizer? The item you found is a set of gold testing needles. The tips of each needle are made from gold of a specific carat, usually ranging from 8 to 24 carats. This allows jewelers and appraisers to determine the purity of an unknown gold sample by comparing its color and reaction to acid against the known standards on these needles. The testing process involves using a black stone along with acid solutions of varying concentrations. The jeweler makes a small mark of the sample gold on the stone next to marks from the testing needles. Each mark is then tested with an acid corresponding to a specific carat level. Different acids are used for each carat range. If the acid dissolves the mark, the sample has a lower purity than the acid applied. If the mark remains intact, the sample matches or exceeds the carat level indicated by the needle. I found a badge that has been passed through several generations in my family. It doesn't have any additional labels or markings. It is from Yugoslavia, possibly from the World War II era. It is glued inside a box with no pin on the back and measures around 10 centimeters. Does anyone know more about its history? The badge appears to depict the Sombor coat of arms, first officially designed in 1749. The design features a fortress with a gate and central tower, guard boxes, a flag, a crescent, and other heraldic elements. Based on its condition and craftsmanship, the badge likely dates to the late 19th or early 20th century. Such badges were often created for various purposes, including civic awards, uniform decorations, or ornamental accessories, such as walking stick embellishments. The visible wear suggests frequent handling or cleaning, indicating it was a prized possession. I found a small waterproof case containing 5 tubes, each about 4.5 centimeters long and 3 millimeters in diameter. The tubes are half filled with an unknown substance and seem to be cushioned by foam at the bottom of the case, likely to protect them. The case was discovered in a collapsed old stone wall in France, which was estimated to be around 100 years old. Does anyone know what these tubes might be or their purpose? The small tubes you found are likely non-electric blasting caps used as detonators for explosives. These closely resemble the non-electric blasting caps commonly used in the mid-20th century, including the friction fuses that were prevalent during that time. They typically contain an ignition charge made from a mixture of lead styphnate and barium chromate, which matches the yellow powder you described. The waterproof and shock-resistant container further supports this identification, as such features were essential for safely storing detonators in challenging environments. These devices were widely used during World War II and in the years that followed for construction, demolition, and military purposes. I found a strange iron pot inside the fireplace of the apartment I'm renting in northern Italy. It seems quite old, probably over 20 years, and looks like it's made of iron. Does anyone know what it's used for? The pot you found is likely a bed warmer or a chestnut roaster, 2 common household items in Italy and across Europe in past centuries. Bed warmers were used to heat up cold sheets before sleeping. especially during winter months when homes lacked central heating. Hot coals or embers were placed inside the container, the lid was securely closed, and the pot was run over or placed between the sheets to make the bed warm and cozy. This type of warmer was particularly popular in northern Italy and colder regions of Europe until the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Alternatively, the pot could be a chestnut roaster, which was designed to roast chestnuts directly in the fireplace. These roasters often had perforated lids to allow heat to circulate evenly, while the handle made it safe to turn or shake the chestnuts over the fire. Chestnut roasting remains a beloved tradition in Italy, especially in the northern regions, where roasted chestnuts are still a popular seasonal treat. I found a shallow tub in the spa area of a fancy European hotel with two separate sides. When a button's pressed, one side lights up red and dispenses hot water for about 30 seconds, followed by the other side lighting up blue with cold water. The tub is about 3 meters long and 1.2 meters wide. Does anyone know what this is used for? The tub you found is likely designed for contrast bath therapy, a practice commonly referred to as Wechselbad in Germany. It involves immersing your feet alternately in warm and cold water, starting with the warm water for a short time before quickly switching to the cold side. This process is typically repeated a few times and is believed to stimulate blood circulation, though the scientific evidence for its benefits is still debated. I found a tool in the kitchen of a late relative. It's about 45 centimeters long and has a heavy, solid metal puck at one end connected to a wooden handle by a metal rod. Does anyone know what this is and what it might be used for? The tool you've found is a handheld salamander, a traditional kitchen implement used for browning, caramelizing, or melting the surface of food. The metal puck is heated over an open flame or in hot coals until it becomes extremely hot, and then it's held close to the surface of dishes like crème brûlée, gratins, or French onion soup to achieve that perfect golden crust or melted cheese layer. Handheld salamanders have a long history in culinary arts and were especially popular in the 18th and 19th centuries, before modern broilers or kitchen torches became commonplace. They were a staple in French kitchens where they were used to prepare classic dishes requiring precise caramelization or browning. I found this unusual tool in a drawer of an old house. It's about 13 centimeters long, with a decorative handle made from what seems to be wood or fancy plastic. One end has a threaded, removable metal prong. Does anyone know what this tool might have been used for? The tool you found is likely a vintage Warren cutlery carving tool designed for woodworking or leatherworking. Warren Cutlery, founded in 1927, is known for its high-quality tools, featuring interchangeable blades. This particular tool's decorative handle, made of fine wood or composite material, and the threaded, removable prong indicate it was part of a versatile set. The removable prong was likely used to secure different blade attachments, making the tool adaptable for various uses. I found this unusual tool that appears to clamp onto a workbench. It stands approximately 30 centimeters tall and seems to be a type of drill. However, instead of a typical drill bit, the head has saw blades. Does anyone know what this tool is used for? The item you found is a coconut reamer, designed to remove the meat from coconuts. This tool clamps to a workbench for stability and features a rotating head with saw-like blades to shred coconut flesh efficiently. Tools like this are widely used in places where fresh coconuts are popular, including Sri Lanka, where nearly every household has one. Traditionally, coconut scraping was done with a simple blade mounted to a bench. Over time, these evolved into table-mounted tools, followed by rotatable models like this one, and eventually, motorized versions became available. The design has stood the test of time due to its efficiency and simplicity, making it a staple in coconut preparation. I found this long wooden tool with a metal head. The head has two distinct parts. One is a sharp spike, and the other is a flat, curved prong. The total length appears to be around 1 meter. It seems like it could be used for digging, prying, or other agricultural purposes. Does anyone know what this tool is and its intended use? The item you found is an ice harvesting tool made by the Gifford Wood Company. It was commonly used in the 19th and early 20th centuries to handle large blocks of ice cut from frozen lakes. Workers relied on tools like this to grip and maneuver the blocks from the cutting area to storage or transportation. Ice harvesting was a demanding but essential industry, providing ice to homes and businesses across the United States and even internationally. However, with the advent of electric refrigeration in the mid-20th century, the practice gradually disappeared. I found a small glass vial filled with red liquid in a bottle dump in southern New Jersey. The vial appears old, but I'm unsure what it might have been used for. Does anyone know what this could be? The small glass vial filled with red liquid you found is likely a component of a vintage bubble light, a popular Christmas decoration from the mid-20th century. Bubble lights were first patented in 1944 by Carl Wallace Otis and introduced in 1946 by Noma Electric Corporation, a leading manufacturer of Christmas lights at the time. These lights consisted of a vial filled with liquid, typically methylene chloride, chosen for its low boiling point, that was heated by a small incandescent bulb. As the liquid warmed, bubbles formed and rose through the vial, creating a decorative and festive effect. Bubble lights gained widespread popularity from the 1940s through the 1970s and were a staple of holiday decorations during that time. However, they gradually fell out of favor as smaller and safer string lights became available. The vial you found is likely missing its heating base and bulb, which explains why only the glass portion remains. I found this wooden spoon-like object with 2 compartments at an antiques market in the Chicago suburbs. It's over 30 centimeters long. Does anyone know what this spoon is? The wooden spoon-like object you found is an ozhao, a traditional Kazakh ladle used for pouring beverages such as kumis, kefir, milk, and other drinks. The ozhao consists of a hollow bowl and a handle designed for easy use. Traditionally, it was crafted from wood or metal, with wooden versions commonly made as early as the 2nd century Common Era. Archaeological evidence suggests that wooden utensils like the ozhao were in use across Central Asia during the early Iron Age, while metal ozhaus became widespread between the 16th and 19th centuries. In Kazakh culture, the ozhao holds a special place as both a practical tool and a decorative item for the dining table. Skilled artisans carved ozhaus from various types of wood such as chestnut or oak, often adding ornamental designs to the handle. Wealthier Kazakh families adorned ozhaus with gold, silver, and even embedded gemstones to emphasize their status and hospitality. I came across this pool in the middle of nowhere near Izmir, Turkey. It's about 10 meters wide on each side, filled with some sort of reddish liquid, and surrounded by warning signs saying, "Do not attempt swimming." Does anyone know what this pool is and why it has such warnings? The pool you found is most likely a water reserve for firefighting. These reservoirs are designed to provide a reliable water source in areas where natural water sources, such as rivers or lakes, are unavailable or insufficient for firefighting purposes. They are especially common in regions prone to wildfires, such as rural or forested areas. The reddish liquid in the pool could either be water with fire retardants mixed in, commonly used to slow the spread of fires, or it might simply be due to sediment and minerals from the surrounding soil. Fire retardants often contain iron oxide, which gives them their reddish color. Not only helicopters use these reservoirs during aerial firefighting, but also by fire engines, which can draft water directly from them using suction pumps. Additionally, there are portable water tanks that resemble above-ground pools or collapsible pumpkin-shaped containers. These mobile solutions are widely used for quick deployment in remote areas, allowing firefighters to respond swiftly to emergencies. I found this tool during a cleanup. It has a heavy handle that slides up and down along the body, and the tool itself is fairly heavy. The end seems designed to grip and lever. Does anyone know what this tool is used for? The tool you found is a nail and staple puller, often considered one of the most effective designs for this purpose. Its heavy sliding handle acts as a hammer, driving the puller head into the space beside a nail or staple. The end of the tool grips the nail, and the side leg provides leverage to rock and pull the nail out smoothly. The wing-like part of the tool presses against the surface to provide additional leverage, helping to close the puller head around the nail and extract it with ease. The length of the handle further enhances the leverage, making it a powerful tool for removing stubborn nails and staples. I just bought a lake home and found 3 of these in the water near the pier. They are the crisscross stacks of corrugated pipes wrapped in plastic netting, all weighed down by bricks. Does anyone know what these might be for? What you found in the water are fish cribs. These are artificial habitats designed to provide shelter for small or juvenile fish, giving them a safe place to hide from larger predators. The crisscross design of the corrugated pipes wrapped in netting mimics natural cover, creating an ideal environment for young fish to thrive. Fish cribs also benefit anglers. The smaller fish attracted to these structures draw in larger predatory fish, making them excellent spots for fishing. Anglers often find that these areas hold lunkers, large fish waiting to prey on the smaller ones hiding within the crib. Traditionally, fish cribs were made from logs arranged in a log cabin style and filled with brush or branches. Over time, materials like plastic pipes and netting have become more common due to their durability and ability to create complex spaces for fish to inhabit. The bricks you noticed are used to keep the crib submerged and stable. I found a hollow metal tube with 2 removable plugs on each end in my yard. It had some gray, grease-like substance inside. The area where I found it used to have burn piles from the previous owners. There are also numbers stamped randomly all over the tube. Does anyone know what this could be? The item you found is an electrical butt splice connector. This type of connector is used to splice 2 wires together by crimping both ends with a hydraulic tool and a specific set of dies. The gray, grease-like substance inside is an oxidation inhibitor, which prevents corrosion and ensures a reliable connection. These connectors are specifically designed for aluminum wire, which expands and contracts more significantly than copper wire as it heats and cools. The oxidation inhibitor is crucial for maintaining the integrity of the splice, as aluminum is more prone to oxidizing. Without the inhibitor, the splice could fail quickly due to poor conductivity and heat buildup. The number stamped on the tube indicates specifications such as wire size compatibility and the type of crimping die required for installation. What are these tools or instruments from 1772 used for? They come in a black, bumpy-covered case and include brass tools inside, along with some type of ruler. The tools you found are part of an antique drafting set from 1772. These sets were used for precise measurements, technical drawings, and architectural or engineering work. The black textured case is made from shagreen, a treated shark or ray skin that was a popular material for high-end cases in the 18th century. The inscription inside the case reveals that Edward Search, a mathematical instrument maker who served prestigious clients, including the Dukes of Gloucester and Cumberland, sold the set. This detail underscores the exceptional quality and exclusivity of the tools. Records suggest that the original owner, Alexander Booty, was a joiner and cabinet maker based in Soho, London. I came across this antique cast iron self-closing hook. Could it be a hay grapple, an ice hook, a pallet puller, or something else entirely? The item you found is a grapple, designed to be securely attached to a beam or rafter. This tool was part of a larger system for moving and storing hay that was common in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. According to United States Patent Number 100,330, issued to inventor William Bragg on March 1, 1870, its primary purpose was to act as a fixed anchor point in barns or similar structures to support lifting systems for bales of hay or other heavy objects. The design was specifically created to improve efficiency and flexibility in tasks such as storing and moving hay. While the grapple was primarily used in agriculture, its design could be adapted for other purposes such as gripping and moving ice blocks or logs. I found a round, clear glass object that looks like an old jar lid. It weighs about 1 kilogram and has the inscription Whitehall Tatum No. 1 on it. The diameter is approximately 10 centimeters. Does anyone know what this might be? The object you found is a glass insulator used for communication lines, manufactured by Whitehall Tatum. The company was established in 1806 and was initially known for producing bottles, jars, and vials throughout much of the 19th century. Whitehall Tatum entered the insulator manufacturing market in 1922, expanding their production into the growing communication and power industries. This particular insulator dates to around 1945, a transitional period after Whitehall Tatum was acquired by Armstrong, but before the company's name on insulator units was updated to reflect this change. These insulators were mounted on pins atop utility poles to keep telegraph, telephone, or power lines insulated from the poles themselves. Made of durable glass, They could withstand various weather conditions, ensuring that the lines remained functional and protected. Glass insulators like this played a vital role in early 20th century communication and electrical infrastructure. What is this old two-pronged iron barb? It was found while metal detecting near some very old log cabins, estimated to be about 100 years old in Wyoming. The object has small barbs, suggesting it might have been hammered into wood, and each spike has 4 sides. The object you found is the head of a wrought iron pike pole, a tool commonly used from the 18th century onward. Pike poles were designed primarily for forestry and construction work, allowing workers to grip and maneuver logs, beams, or other heavy materials. In lumbering, these tools were essential for controlling logs floating on a river during a log drive and for constructing log rafts. The two-pronged design and sturdy construction made them particularly useful for settlers and laborers working in rugged environments. This specific type of pike pole head likely dates to the late 18th or early 19th century and may have been used in tasks involving timber management or construction near old cabins, such as those in Wyoming. I found a small paper item in the drawer of an old dresser. It was discovered beneath newspapers dating back to the 1940s. Does anyone know what this could be? The small paper item you found is likely a trading stamp, a type of promotional coupon popular in the mid-20th century. Grocery stores and other retailers would issue these stamps to customers based on the amount they spent. Customers could collect the stamps in special booklets provided by the retailer and, once the booklets were filled, redeem them for items from a catalog of prizes. These prizes ranged from household items to toys and other small rewards. Trading stamps became particularly popular in the 1930s and continued through the 1960s, with companies like Sperry and Hutchinson Green Stamps leading the trading stamp market. This company, which began providing stamps to United States retailers in 1896, helped establish customer loyalty programs that encouraged repeat shopping. I found these strange metal objects at a consignment shop. They seem to have some sort of stone or gem embedded in the metal box portion. Does anyone know what these could be used for? The metal objects you found are agate bearings, which were used in precision balances such as equal arm balances. In these balances, the beam pivots on a hardened steel knife edge that rests on the agate bearing. This setup provides a low-friction surface, ensuring highly accurate and repeatable measurements. The V-shaped design of the bearing ensures that the balance beam remains perfectly aligned, while the surrounding metal casing acts as a protective end cap. Precision balances like this were used in laboratories, pharmacies, and jewelers' workshops for measuring small quantities with high accuracy. I found this strange object at an antique store in the games and toys section. It's about 1.5 meters tall and almost looks like a fridge with a seat inside and an opening for your head. Does anyone know what this could be? The object you found is a vintage portable sauna, a personal steam bath that was popular in the mid-20th century. These saunas were designed to allow people to enjoy the benefits of a sauna in the comfort of their own homes. They typically featured a compact box-like structure with a seat inside and an opening for the user's head. This design allowed the body to be enclosed in steam while keeping the head exposed, ensuring comfort and safety during use. Portable saunas like this gained popularity in the 1960s and 1970s as a convenient alternative to traditional sauna rooms. Advertisements from that era often promoted their health benefits such as weight loss, detoxification, and improved vitality. For example, a 1964 French magazine ad highlighted their ability to help users achieve a slimmer figure and shed extra pounds effortlessly. The interior of these saunas usually contained a steam-generating unit powered by electricity to produce the heat and humidity needed for a sauna experience. I found this metal object in shallow ground while working in a garden in England. It's about 15 centimeters long, rusted on the top, and needs some cleaning. The metal appears black, and the top of the handle is flat. Does anyone know what this could be? The object you found is most likely a bricklayer's line pin, a tool commonly used in masonry to ensure bricks are laid in straight and level courses. These pins were driven into the ground or placed between gaps in a structure to secure a mason's line, a strong string that served as a guide for laying bricks in even rows. The line would be stretched between 2 pins, creating a perfectly straight reference point for the bricklayer to follow during construction. The flat top makes it easy to drive the pin into the ground with a hammer or mallet. while the spiral marks are likely remnants of the mason's line that was coiled around the pin during use. I saw a metal tool, possibly a farm implement, hanging on the wall of a Cracker Barrel restaurant. It has a handle and a pointy end. Does anyone know what this might be? The tool you described is a handheld tobacco transplanter, an agricultural implement widely used in the early to mid-20th century for planting tobacco seedlings. This device made the planting process more efficient by allowing farmers to simultaneously create a hole in the soil, insert the seedling, and water it. The transplanter consists of two conical metal tubes joined together with a handle mechanism at the top. To use it, farmers would push the pointed end into the ground, squeeze the handle to open the jaws at the bottom, place the seedling into the opening, and release the handle to deposit the plant in the soil. Some models also featured a water reservoir, which released water into the hole to ensure the seedling was properly hydrated. These tools were especially popular in tobacco-growing regions like Virginia and North Carolina, where they helped reduce the labor-intensive nature of planting. Before mechanized equipment became common, it took about 900 man-hours to plant an acre of tobacco, so tools like this were a significant improvement over purely manual methods. We found an iron needle with Arabic writing while magnet fishing in a canal in the United Kingdom. It is approximately 12 by 1 centimeter in size and weighs about as much as a small paperweight. The writing is on all 4 long sides and appears to be different on each side. Does anyone know what this could be? The object you found is likely an Indo-Persian talismanic nail, an artifact commonly used in northern India and Persia during the 19th century. These nails were inscribed with Arabic script, often containing Quranic verses or other protective phrases. They were typically used as spiritual safeguards, driven into the walls or corners of buildings to ward off evil spirits and protect the inhabitants. This object was owned by a relative in the 1950s. It features mercury inside a glass globe and a hollow handle with no electrical or mechanical components. The relative was a chemist and allegedly a high-ranking Freemason, which might be either irrelevant or explain its purpose. Does anyone know what this could be? The object you found appears to be a scale buoy, a device invented by Richard Hadley Smith Abbott in Bendigo, Victoria after World War I. The scale buoy consists of a glass globe containing a small amount of mercury, enclosed in a wire frame attached to an electroplated handle. While it was marketed as a solution to prevent scale or calcification buildup inside water vessels or boilers, the device is now generally regarded as a piece of scientific quackery. The device functioned by agitating the mercury-filled glass globes in water, which was claimed to soften the water or prevent scale formation. A version of the scale buoy featured 4 evacuated glass bulbs containing mercury, mounted in a metal frame with rubber stops and a wooden handle resembling a whisk. Users were instructed to manually agitate the device in water, with some reportedly using it for extended periods to prepare bathwater. The scale buoy was manufactured in both the United States and Australia, with marketing targeting domestic and laboratory applications. Despite its scientific-sounding claims, no credible evidence supports its effectiveness. It remains a curious example of early 20th century pseudoscience. What is this metal object? It appears to be handmade and old, approximately 30 centimeters long and quite heavy. I found it in a bathroom alongside what seems to be an ancient Greek vase, a clay owl, and a small figure made of the same material as this piece. The object you found is likely a modern replica of a Roman bronze mirror inspired by ancient designs. An archaeologist on Reddit pointed out that the weathering pattern suggests it is not genuinely ancient. On authentic artifacts, green patina from verdigris typically forms in recessed areas that are less frequently handled, while raised surfaces tend to appear polished or burnished from use. However, on your item, the green patina appears on the raised surfaces, indicating artificial aging. The material is most likely bronze, polished to give it an antique appearance. Such replicas are often created as decorative pieces or for collectors who appreciate the aesthetic of ancient artifacts. I found this flat-bottom flask with 6 individual chambers in the science department where I work. It has been there for over 30 years, yet no one knows its purpose. The flask appears to be made from a single piece of blown glass, holds roughly 1 liter, and has a unique design. Does anyone know what this could be? The object you found is a nipple flask, used for growing plant cells in suspension cultures. It holds a liquid growth medium and is stoppered with a foam plug before being autoclaved. Plant cells are then introduced into the sterilized flask. The flask is placed in a rotating apparatus at an angle where its 6 chambers alternately expose the cells to air and nutrient medium. This design promotes oxygenation and nutrient absorption, essential for cell growth. Nipple flasks are commonly used in tissue culture, a technique in plant biology. I found this heavy metal device that has instructions to set it on a stove. The handle of the roller appears to have the year 1880 engraved on it. I recently received it from my grandfather, and it has been in the family for a long time. There is also a removable piece of metal below the roller. Does anyone know what this could be? The object you found is a crimping or fluting iron, a tool that was widely used in the late 19th century to create decorative pleats and crimps in fabric. These devices were particularly popular during the Victorian era, a time when intricate patterns and textures were highly fashionable in women's dresses, collars, cuffs, and other garments. The invention of crimping irons is credited to several individuals during the late 1800s, with designs and patents appearing in both Europe and the United States. Companies like Shepherd Hardware Company, established in the late 19th century, became known for producing mechanical fluting irons. These tools typically consisted of a metal roller and a removable plate that could be heated on a cast iron stove. Once heated, the fabric was pressed between the roller and the plate to produce sharp, durable pleats. This process allowed for the precise and elaborate designs that defined a Victorian fashion. Crimping irons were primarily used by seamstresses, laundresses, and homemakers to maintain the polished appearance of high society garments, which often featured pleated details. However, by the early 20th century, their usage declined as fashion trends evolved and more efficient garment production methods emerged. I found 2 large metal objects near a lake close to Aspen, Colorado. Each measures approximately 1.2 by 1.2 by 1 meters, with humps or loops on both ends. Does anyone know what these might be? The objects you found are the frames of Art Ross-style hockey nets, a design used for ice hockey goals from 1927 to approximately 1984. These older nets are distinguished by their rounded, triangular base and top, which differ from the rectangular shape of modern hockey nets introduced in the mid-1980s. This design is named after Art Ross, a notable figure in hockey history who patented the style. Ross was a Canadian professional hockey player, coach, and manager, renowned for his innovations in the sport. His net design was widely adopted and served as the standard for nearly 7 decades. The frame featured a center post where the netting was attached, dividing the net into 2 panels tied to the side and center posts. Art Ross-style nets had several practical advantages, including better puck retention after goals. Their curved shape reduced the chance of pucks bouncing out of the net upon impact. However, by the 1980s, this design was replaced by modern rectangular nets, which were simpler and more cost-effective to produce. The newer design also eliminated the center post, enhancing safety by lowering the risk of player injuries during collisions. Does anyone know the purpose of this fork with offset tines? It's marked Inox France, but I haven't found anything similar online. The tines are precisely and evenly offset, suggesting this design was intentional. The object you found is a potato fork, a specialized kitchen tool designed for safely handling hot potatoes. Its offset tines provide a secure grip on potatoes, making it easier to peel or slice them while minimizing the risk of burns or cuts. Made of stainless steel, as indicated by the inox marking, which comes from the French word inoxydable, meaning stainless, the fork is durable and resistant to corrosion. I found this large and heavy tool among a pile of old equipment. It has a crank handle and what appears to be a roller mechanism inside. The interior features teeth or ridges on both the roller and the lid. Can anyone identify what this might be? The object you found is most likely a vintage tobacco shredder. In the 19th century, such shredders were commonly used to prepare tobacco for further processing, ensuring uniform cuts for cigars and other tobacco products. This was particularly important during an era when the manual production of tobacco goods was standard, and these tools played a crucial role in maintaining the high quality of the finished product. Although the design of this tool may resemble antique meat grinders, its key distinguishing feature lies in the specific teeth and ridges. which were designed for shredding tobacco leaves rather than meat. These devices were typically made from durable cast iron to withstand heavy and frequent use. What is this enclosed gazebo-like copper structure on a residential property? It's located in the side yard of a large upscale home, originally built in 1929 and owned by an old money family in a Midwestern city. The structure stands about 4.5 meters tall and features a clock on each of its four sides, along with a short copper wall decorated with a fleur-de-lis. Does anyone know its purpose or history? The copper gazebo-like structure you found is actually the original cupola from the Grand Rapids Union Station. Built in 1900, the station was designed in the Georgian Revival style and served as a major railroad hub for the Pere Marquette Railway, Michigan Central Railroad, and Pennsylvania Railroad. The station was located at 61 Ionia Avenue SW in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and operated until 1958. In 1959, during the station's demolition to make way for the United States Route 131 highway, the cupola was salvaged. It features clocks on all four sides and decorative fleur-de-lis motifs, characteristic of the station's elegant design. The cupola was relocated to a private residence owned by a local dentist and antique dealer, where it now stands in the side yard as a historical remnant of Grand Rapids Railroad history. Its preservation offers a unique glimpse into the city's past and serves as a testament to the architectural heritage of the era. I found a black stone object buried in a garden in Somerset, United Kingdom. It features ornate carvings on the front and uneven scratch marks on the back. My family discovered it decades ago, but neither they nor anyone we've shown it to can identify what it is. Does anyone know its purpose or origin? The object you found is likely made from Whitby jet, a fossilized gemstone formed from ancient monkey puzzle trees. This material, primarily found along the Yorkshire coastline in the United Kingdom, has been used for carving and ornamentation for thousands of years, including during the Bronze Age, Roman era, and Viking times. Its popularity surged in the Victorian era when it became widely associated with mourning jewelry after Queen Victoria began wearing it, following the death of Prince Albert in 1861. The ornate carvings on the front suggest that this piece may have been part of a Victorian-era bracelet or necklace. Whitby jet was commonly used to create intricate jewelry, such as brooches and pendants, often featuring detailed designs. To verify if the material is Whitby jet, you can rub the surface. Genuine jet will hold a static charge and attract lint or dust. I found an unusual object and have no clue what it could be. The red part feels like it might be a filter of some kind, while the black part is made of a foamy material and feels like it might be a pump. There are no numbers or letters imprinted anywhere, but the metal cylinder inside the red part has a hole at the end. Does anyone know what this might be? The object you found is a dog training dummy launcher, a device used to train hunting dogs by simulating the experience of retrieving game. The red component serves as the dummy, which is propelled into the air by the launcher, often using a small blank cartridge. This setup allows dogs to associate the sound of a gunshot with the visual cue of a falling target, thereby honing their retrieval skills. Historically, hunting dogs have been integral to various hunting practices, assisting in tracking, flushing, and retrieving game. Breeds such as Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers, and Spaniels are commonly trained for these purposes due to their keen sense of smell, intelligence, and strong retrieving instincts. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, training methods were more rudimentary, often relying on live birds or hand-thrown objects to teach retrieval. The introduction of dummy launchers revolutionized this process by providing a consistent and controlled means of simulating hunting scenarios. This advancement allowed trainers to replicate the conditions of a hunt more accurately, thereby improving the effectiveness of the training. What is this unusual hammer-like tool? One side of the head is spiked and the other is flat. The head is made of iron with a wooden handle, and it weighs an estimated 500 to 800 grams. There are no noticeable markings or engravings on it. Does anyone know its purpose or origin? The object you've found is a Scotch hammer, traditionally used in masonry and bricklaying. This hammer features a flat face on one side and a slot on the other to hold replaceable Scotch combs or droves, which are specialized cutting attachments. The earliest patent for a Scotch hammer that I could find is dated 1952 and was issued to inventor Raymond Watson. Historically, scutch hammers have been essential in the construction industry, particularly for cleaning and dressing bricks and stones. The design allows for the efficient removal of mortar without significantly damaging the bricks, making them suitable for repurposing. I found this device with a rotary dial, but it's not a phone. There's no receiver to hook up to it. It has a start and stop button, and when you turn the rotary, a red ball spins. I haven't been able to find anything similar. What could this device be used for? This device is part of an old telex system that was used to send text messages over long distances before fax machines and email became widespread. It's not a phone, but a specialized communication tool used for connecting different organizations, especially in the fields of journalism and news. Instead of dialing a phone number, you would use the rotary dial to select the telex number of the recipient. As you turn the dial, a red ball inside the device spins, indicating that the dialing process is in progress. After that, pressing the start button would establish the connection, and you could begin transmitting your message. A teletype machine, which resembled a typewriter, would print out the text being sent. Incoming messages were usually printed in black or blue. In some cases, text was pre-prepared on punch tape, which could be inserted into the device to transmit text at maximum speed, reducing transmission costs, since telex connections were billed by the minute. This system was widely used by news agencies to quickly transmit information from overseas correspondents. Telex remained in use until the 1980s, when it was gradually replaced by more modern communication methods such as fax and email. I found these metal objects in a bin in my backyard after doing some yard cleanup. They are about 5 centimeters in diameter and 10 centimeters long. One side is rounded, and the other side is flat, with 6 circular impressions. They're a bit rusted since they've been outside for over 2 years. Any idea what these could be? What you found are Mk-19 inert training rounds. These are 40 millimeters practice rounds made from aluminum and are identified as M385A1. The blue markings indicate that the rounds are inert and not live ammunition, which is typical for training munitions. These types of rounds are often used for military training purposes, allowing soldiers to practice handling and firing without the risks associated with live ordnance. Later, the original finder of these items updated the post to clarify that they contacted local authorities as a precaution. The authorities responded promptly and brought in a bomb squad followed by an explosive ordnance disposal team to thoroughly inspect the yard. During the investigation, a total of 312 training rounds and 2 mortar shells were discovered. The bomb squad used an unmarked black and white truck to carry out the operation, which caught the attention of neighbors. A picture shared by the finder also shows a police officer and a bomb squad technician beginning the process of safely removing the items. While these rounds were inert, finding such items should always prompt immediate contact with local authorities, as the presence of live or potentially dangerous ordnance cannot be ruled out without professional inspection. I found a very heavy lens, approximately 40 kilograms, in an overgrown field. There was nothing else around it. Does anyone have any idea what kind of lens this could be or what it might have been used for? The lens you discovered is most likely a Victorian magic lantern projector lens. Magic lanterns were early image projectors that used glass slides, often with painted or photographic images, to project images onto walls or screens. These projectors were widely used for entertainment and educational purposes in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Your lens was probably part of a larger industrial-grade projector used for projecting larger images or perhaps for more elaborate lantern shows. These projectors were often quite heavy, with some lenses weighing up to 40 kilograms, as they were made with high-quality glass and housed in sturdy metal frames. The magic lantern itself, invented in the 17th century, was an important precursor to modern film projectors. It was powered by oil lamps or early electric lights and became a popular means of entertainment and teaching throughout the Victorian era. I found a brass-ended hook or pick tool at a jumble sale. The handle has an embossed motif and looks clearly handmade. It's about 30 centimeters tall and the handle is around a centimeter wide. Does anyone know what this could be? The item you found is most likely a damper hook, a tool traditionally used to operate the damper in a fireplace. A damper is a metal flap inside the chimney or fireplace that regulates airflow, controlling the intensity of the fire and directing smoke out of the house. The hook was commonly used in older fireplaces before more modern systems for controlling airflow were developed. is typically made of durable materials such as brass, which can withstand heat, and was often handcrafted, sometimes with decorative engravings on the handle. I found this intriguing wooden mallet in a shed. It has a long wooden handle, and the head of the mallet is reinforced with metal. There's also a small rope loop attached to the handle. The mallet doesn't have any markings or labels. Does anyone know what this mallet might be used for? The tool you've found is a shipwright's caulking mallet, traditionally used in wooden shipbuilding to seal the seams between planks. Shipwrights used this mallet along with caulking irons to drive fibers like cotton or oakum into the seams, ensuring the vessel was watertight. A unique feature of caulking mallets is the presence of slits and holes in the head, which were designed to tune the mallet to produce a specific musical note when striking the caulking iron. This clever design reduced the deafening noise created by a group of shipwrights working simultaneously, as the different pitches would blend harmoniously. The head of the mallet was typically made from durable woods, such as lignum vitae, beech, or American oak, and reinforced with iron rings at both ends. These rings not only added strength, but could also be adjusted as the mallet wore down over time, extending its usability. I found this all-metal hammer in a box of music-related items. It has an oddly shaped end and is surprisingly heavy for its size. Does anyone know what this might have been used for? The all-metal hammer you've found is a tabla tuning hammer, traditionally used in Indian classical music to adjust the pitch of tabla drums. The tabla consists of two drums, the dayan the right-hand drum and the bayan the left-hand drum. The hammer is used to fine-tune these drums by striking the braided edge of the drumhead, called the gajara, to adjust the tension and pitch. During the tuning process, the hammer is used to tap small wooden blocks known as gata, which are positioned under the lacing of the drum. By moving these blocks up or down, the tension on the drumhead is changed, allowing precise control over the pitch. This method ensures the tabla produces the correct notes essential for Indian classical music performances. The history of the tabla is rooted in ancient India. Drums and rhythmic patterns, known as talas, are mentioned in the Vedic texts, and early forms of small drums called pushkara were used before the 5th century. I found this intriguing tool with gouge points on both ends of its blade. The handle is made of brass, and the blade is marked with Hunkens Willis, St. Louis, Germany, along with a nautical symbol on the reverse. One end of the blade folds to protect one of the gouge points. It was discovered in the bottom of an antique machinist's chest I bought. The tool you've found is a timber scribe, also known as a race knife. This tool first appeared in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Timber scribes were indispensable for marking or scribing wood in various trades, such as lumbering, carpentry, shipbuilding, and barrel making. They were especially common in Europe and North America, where the timber industry played a crucial role in construction, transportation, and commerce. The nautical symbol on the reverse side of the blade suggests its use in maritime carpentry or shipbuilding, where precise timber marking was essential. Timber scribes were used to create ownership marks or measurement notations on wood, ensuring clear coordination during complex construction projects. For instance, in shipbuilding, they marked planks for precise placement in the ship's structure. In barrel making, they were used to mark staves for accurate assembly. By the mid-20th century, timber scribes fell out of everyday use as mass production, and modern tools replaced many traditional woodworking methods. What is this unusual wooden object? It's about the size of a small club, with a handle and a serrated edge on one side. It also has what appears to be a weighted end on the other side. The wooden tool you found is most likely an Iroquois war club, a traditional weapon used by the indigenous peoples of North America, particularly the Iroquois Confederacy. These war clubs, often called ball-headed clubs, were widely used from pre-contact times through the 18th century. They served both as weapons in battle and as ceremonial objects. The design of the war club, with its rounded and weighted end, dates back to ancient times. These clubs were made from dense hardwoods such as maple, ash, or hickory to ensure durability and impact. War clubs were primarily used in hand-to-hand combat, often during intertribal conflicts or skirmishes with European settlers in the 17th and 18th centuries. The introduction of European firearms in the 1600s gradually reduced the use of traditional weapons like war clubs in combat. However, they continued to play an important role in native ceremonial life and artistic expression, maintaining their significance as symbols of heritage and resilience. I found this object at an old decommissioned salmon canning facility on the west coast of British Columbia. Does anyone know what this could be? The object you found is a Newman chimney brush, a tool designed for removing soot and creosote from chimneys to prevent blockages and potential fires. These brushes have a unique mechanism. Wire fingers attached to an upper plate pass through a larger concentric lower plate. When a rope is pulled, the fingers spread outward and press against the chimney walls, effectively scrubbing away soot and debris. This tool was patented by the Newman family in 1930 and regained popularity in the mid-1980s when it was mass-produced in Wittenberg, Wisconsin. It's likely this tool was repurposed for industrial use, such as cleaning large exhaust flues or smokestacks. Regular maintenance of these systems would have been critically important to ensure proper ventilation and fire prevention. I came across a box at a thrift store in Virginia that contained tambourine-shaped discs, metal balls, and foam padding on either end of the box. The box measured approximately 12 inches by 6 inches by 6 inches. Does anyone know what this might be? The item you found is a falling rain chime box, a decorative object designed to produce a soothing sound that mimics falling rain. These boxes typically contain discs, metal balls, and foam padding. When you tilt the box, the metal balls roll over the discs, creating a gentle, rain-like sound. The concept of rain-like sounds for relaxation has deep roots in various cultures. For instance, rain sticks have been used for centuries to imitate the sound of rain in ceremonial and meditative practices. Chime boxes like the one you found became popular in the late 20th century. A notable example is the Falling Rain chime box by the Bombay Company, made of mahogany, which was a popular decorative item in the early 1990s. While flying from North Carolina to California, I noticed a bright spiral pattern from the plane while passing over Utah near Beaver and Jensen. The pattern looked unusual, and Google keeps showing me results for crop irrigation circles or the spiral jetty. Does anyone know what this could be? The bright spiral pattern you saw from the plane is likely the Crescent Dunes Solar Energy Project, located near Tonopah, Nevada. This facility uses a central receiver tower surrounded by approximately 10,000 heliostat mirrors, which track the sun and reflect sunlight onto the tower to generate electricity. When viewed from above, the arrangement of the mirrors and the concentrated light can create a striking spiral-like appearance. The Crescent Dunes project was the first of its kind to feature full-scale thermal energy storage, allowing it to produce electricity even after sunset. The facility began operations in 2015, but it faced technical challenges that led to a temporary shutdown in 2020. It has since resumed operations under new management with a focus on nighttime solar power generation. Maintaining the heliostat mirrors is a critical aspect of the operation. The cleaning process typically involves high-pressure water sprays or brushes designed to be gentle on the mirror surfaces. I found a cylindrical object marked Carl Zeiss made in Germany. It has a lens on the top and is about 1 foot long. The front features a frosted filter made out of steel. Does anyone know what this could have been used for? The object you found is a Zeiss microscope projection attachment, a specialized accessory designed for use with Carl Zeiss microscopes. This device was used to project magnified images from the microscope for detailed analysis, teaching, or documentation purposes. Introduced in the mid-20th century, the projection attachment was a key innovation for laboratories, universities, and industrial facilities, allowing multiple people to view a specimen simultaneously without requiring individual access to the microscope's eyepiece. These attachments were part of the Zeiss legacy of producing high-precision optical equipment. Carl Zeiss, founded in 1846 in Jena, Germany, became renowned for its contributions to optics and imaging technologies. I found this tool in a library toolbox. It has a wooden handle with metal spokes and is about 6 inches long. The spokes can be tightened or loosened slightly, but the parts do not move otherwise. Does anyone know what this tool might be? The tool you found is a Parker Roller Type Cleaner, a specialized device designed to clean the type slugs on typewriters. The type slugs, also known as typefaces, are the small metal components on each typewriter key that imprint letters onto paper. Manufactured by the Parker Pen Company, a well-known name in the writing instruments industry, this tool was used by rolling it over the type slugs. Its metal spokes effectively removed ink residue and other debris, ensuring the typewriter remained in good working condition. Devices like this were essential for maintaining typewriters, particularly during the mid-20th century when they were widely used in homes and offices. Proper maintenance was crucial to ensure clear, precise printing and to prevent mechanical issues caused by clogged typefaces. I found a set of heavy metal cups that nest inside each other. I discovered them among my grandfather's belongings. The set includes 7 cups and a container to store them. They feel quite heavy. Does anyone know what these might have been used for? The heavy metal cups you found are likely nested cup weights, a design primarily used by merchants for measuring coins. These weights were an essential tool for commercial transactions, especially during the 17th century, when such sets were commonly produced in Nuremberg, a Bavarian city renowned for its prosperous middle class and skilled artisans. Nested cup weights were crafted for both portability and precision. The cups were designed to fit perfectly inside one another, forming a compact stack that could be stored within an outer container, often referred to as a house. Each cup was precisely calibrated to weigh half as much as the next larger cup, while the outer container was designed to match the combined weight of the entire set. This ingenious system allowed merchants to transport a full set of weights with ease, making them indispensable for trade and commerce. I found this object at a thrift store in Southern California. It looks like a toilet plunger, but is made of metal and has a handle. It stands about 3 feet tall, and the base is approximately 8 inches wide. Does anyone know what this is used for? The object you found is likely a 19th century laundry tool, commonly known as a passer, dolly, or plunger. These devices were essential for the labor-intensive process of washing clothes during that time. In the 1800s, doing laundry was a demanding household chore, typically performed by women. The process involved soaking clothes in hot, soapy water, agitating them to remove dirt, rinsing them thoroughly, wringing out excess water, and finally hanging them to dry. Passers were designed with a long handle attached to a metal or wooden base, often cone-shaped or perforated. To use it, the person would grip the handle and plunge the base into the wash tub, creating a suction effect that circulated water and soap through the fabric, helping to loosen dirt and stains. By the late 19th century, advancements in laundry technology brought about the invention of mechanical washing machines, which began to replace manual tools like the passer. However, in many rural and lower-income households, these traditional methods continued to be used well into the 20th century due to economic limitations and limited access to modern appliances. I found this object in my warehouse. We sell aerospace, audio, and video equipment. The top part of the T-shaped piece has a small nail through it and spins freely. I mentioned the location because it might have come in with some equipment. I've been in this line of work for 13 years and have never seen anything like it. Does anyone know what this could be? The object you found is probably a Jee-Haw whammy diddle, also known as a Ouija wheel or hoodoo stick. This traditional folk toy uses physics and simple mechanics to entertain and mystify its audience. It consists of a notched stick and a smaller free-spinning wooden piece, typically shaped like a propeller. The toy works by running another stick, or your finger, along the notches on the main stick, which creates vibrations that make the propeller spin. By subtly adjusting the pressure or changing the angle of motion, you can control the direction of the spin, causing the propeller to move to the right, known as G, or to the left, known as Haw. This effect often amazes observers, giving the impression of a magic trick. This type of toy originated in the 19th century and was especially popular in rural communities, particularly in the Appalachian region of the United States. Handmade by skilled craftsmen, they were often passed down as novelty items. Despite their simplicity, these toys are a clever demonstration of the basic principles of vibration and friction, presented in an engaging and entertaining way. I found this metal-looking object in a container full of old sewing supplies that was gifted to me. It's a little larger than a quarter, very lightweight, and I can't make out what's in the circle in the middle. Does anyone know what this is? The object you found is most likely a souvenir or replica of the Skanderbeg medal, a historical symbol associated with Albania. The double-headed eagle depicted on the medal has deep historical significance, originating from the Byzantine Empire and later adopted by the Holy Roman Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, and other regions. Today, it is most prominently recognized as a symbol of Albania, featuring on the national flag in black on a red background. The Skanderbeg Medal is named after Gheorghe Castrioti, also known as Skanderbeg, a 15th century Albanian nobleman and military leader who resisted the Ottoman Empire. He is considered a national hero in Albania. The medal was first introduced in Albania to honor achievements or distinguished service, often associated with the Knight Commander orders. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Your support motivates me to create more videos. See you next time.